Welcome to Cardium, the podcast that gets to the heart of travel healthcare and asks, what's your why? With each episode, we explore the topics and issues that impact healthcare professionals in the fields of nursing and allied health. Now, here are your hosts, Sunny and Matt from RES Medical.
Welcome to another episode of Cardium. If you're a subscriber, welcome back, and thank you for being part of our family. And if you're a new listener, thank you for stopping by. We hope you enjoyed the podcast, and we would love for you to subscribe so you can enjoy future podcasts. Hello, Matt. How are you?
I'm good, Sunny. How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. A little dreary outside, but that's all right.
I don't mind.
You know, I'm really excited today about our conversation, so I kind of feel like we need to just jump right in there.
I agree. It's a great topic.
It is, and it's something that I'm really passionate about. So, you know, been working a little bit in therapy in my past life, a little bit, and we have an exciting guest. His name is TJ Cantwell. And he has been, he is currently a part of the Physical Therapy Compact Commission Administrator. Well, and that's what he's serving as at the Federation of State Boards of Physical Therapy. He is a successful nonprofit executive with 20 years of experience in the national nonprofit and trade association industries with expertise in membership, marketing, program building, organizational operations, and a plethora of other things. He's just got a lot of talent, and we're so glad to have him here. So welcome, TJ Cantwell.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And we
Good
have
to be here.
Yeah, thank you. And we have another exciting guest, someone that I have worked with over the past few years, and I'm excited to have as well. His name is Kelly Grant, and he's a branch manager with the therapy division of RES Medical Group. He's been with the company for over 10 years and is responsible for leadership, employee development, and building relationships with therapists and healthcare facilities across the country. And prior to his role within the therapy specialty, he served as a team leader with RES Nursing. Welcome, Kelly Grant.
Thanks, Sonny. Happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So just wanted to talk a little bit about today's episode. We'll be discussing the PT Compact and why you should know about it. And so just wanted to just kind of jump right in.
Well, I'm glad we're talking about it because I know enough to not even be dangerous about the PT Compact. So TJ, thank you very much for joining us again. And can you tell us a little bit about the movement that led to the organization, the creation of the compact? I think that would be a really interesting way to start.
Yeah, happy to. So the compact is one of those ideas that's taken a long time to really come to fruition. Starting back all the way to 2010, the first conversations were around what things could be done to help really increase consumer access, patient access to more PTs and PTAs, especially in those rural areas that are underserved, but really throughout the country. And a variety of things have been said in terms of potentially, creating a national licensure, doing something where there was a regional contracts, regional agreements between certain states, just essentially having some standards for regulation, and then the compact was another option. And all those things were considered between the Federation of State Boards of Physical Therapy and the APTA to look to see, what, and other stakeholders really that were saying, what's the best options out there. They had several years of discussions in order to determine what was going to be the best option. And not until 2014 did they really determine that the compact was going to be the best solution, a way to both increase mobility for PTs and PTAs, but also to increase the consumer access and even improve the public protections that are out there. And so they went with the compact commission model, which then took several more years to develop what that looked like in terms of language for legislation, and then get states on board to start introducing legislation in 2016, with finally in 2017, 10 states, which were the requirement in order to officially have a commission. Where April of 2017, the commission came to actual being, and then even since then, we've been working to write rules and policies and have our first meetings in 2017, and so it's been quite a journey to get to where we are today. But as I'm sure we'll talk about, now we've got 25 states on with the Physical Therapy Compact Commission, which is fantastic. And so, really, it's been a long journey of 9 years from the original conversations, but now we're actually reality and helping consumers get access, and for PTs and PTAs to be able to have that greater mobility, which is fantastic.
what a project. This has been a child for you. 9
well,
years.
I'll be honest. I'm a maybe a stepfather or an adopted father. I haven't been here the whole time, but there's many others that came before me that helped to create it. But I've been here since 2017 when the commission really came into fruition with those first 10 states. And so, yeah, it's been even work since that time to make sure that it's been growing every year as we can do it. Hopefully we'll keep continuing to grow it.
Yeah, it really buoys the industry to see that type of movement, and not an easy task. But even since you joined, you say joining at 10 and now being at 25. Is that what?
That's right.
That's exciting, and more to come from what we understand. So that's really exciting. That's great.
So it's truly been a labor of love. And, you talk about patient accessibility as being one of the main reasons as to why getting this movement. And for those of us that are laymen who are, we hear about the Nurse Compact, we hear about that. What truly makes it a main reason for it to be accessible for patients? Why does that help patients?
Good question. So, there is a shortage of access in several states of, available PTs and PTAs, especially in those rural areas. And in many cases, it's because they've become a growing need in those rural areas or in other areas throughout the state. And then the time it takes for somebody to be able to be licensed and get a regular license in those states can be lengthy in certain cases and more difficult in other cases than where they currently live. So what the compact really accomplished was creating a more streamlined, faster, quicker, easier way, more efficient way for those PTs and PTAs that are qualified to be able to then get a compact privilege, which is the technical term, what we call it. You get it instead of getting a license in another state, you get a compact privilege in that state. But that really just means that it's the requirements and the criteria to get that privilege is far less, and means that we can issue it much quicker. So essentially, as long as someone lives in a state that's a member of the compact that's active, that's got a permanent residence there, they hold a regular license in that same state, and they don't have any encumbrances or any adverse actions within the last 2 years, they're eligible. So all of these other pieces of paper and things that typically have to be done to get a license, verification of licenses in other states, verification of their disciplinary actions and things like that, we've automated 99% of that, which means that within 10 minutes after they complete that jurisprudence, they can get access to that be able to get that compact privilege, which then means they can get that job. So for travelers, it's a boon. They can go and get a job in those other states, and be told there's a job available, and really within the same day be able to get the privilege of practice there.
And you mentioned travelers, and I think, Kelly, that's your arena. So maybe you can add as well to TJ specific to the traveling community for PTs.
Absolutely. I would say we staff a lot of those rural areas. And over the next 8 to 10 years, the therapy industry is growing 28%. And so there's really going to be a shortage of therapists. And without the compact, it really limits that pool of people that can get in there and help those patients in, whether they be rural areas, relief areas, or whatnot. The compact simply just makes that pool greater, and then obviously gives a lot of opportunity for those therapists that do reside in those compact states.
And what a benefit for the patients. I mean, when you really talk about patient advocacy and being able to have access to the healthcare professionals, it sure does make it easier for the patients to receive the care they need. And ultimately, that's why the professionals are there, but to have that patient care delivered in a timely manner and not be worried about putting on a list where they can't receive the care in a timely manner.
Yeah, I think a lot of times we think about, it's really easy to think about a therapist that they want to go to Oregon or to the coast or to a nice area. But ultimately, the reason that they got into the therapy field was to help patients. And so this really allows them to check both those boxes for not only helping patients that really need it, but also seeing those areas that they may not have been able to in the past.
Yeah, exactly. We talk about some of the benefits of the compact, and you gave a little bit about the history, TJ, but what were some of the bumps in the roads that you faced getting that compact going?
Right. Well, I'd love to say that we've gotten rid of all those, but I don't think that's the case. Obviously, our goal is to have the compact be adopted in all jurisdictions, but we haven't gotten there yet. We are working towards getting there, and part of the challenge has been is really. Getting those states to adopt that legislation. So it's not simply that a state would love to become part of the compact and they call me up and they're part of it. It's a long process to get that legislation. Has to be actually enacted in each one of the states. It becomes official law for that state to join our compact. And then they abide by all the requirements that I talked about before. And so part of that is, working with those state chapters, working with the APTA, working with the state boards to try to make sure that they understand what a compact is in the first place. So then they'll be interested in actually joining. And once they do, then they've got to educate all the legislators in those states, make sure we've answered their questions, they understand what it means and what it doesn't mean, and then hopefully ultimately get that passed. And once that's passed, then we've got other hurdles to get through. Each state has to implement several new rules, some new procedures in many cases in order to be ready to get the compact, start issuing and accepting compact privileges. And so that's my job, to make sure that they're ready and they can know their requirements. But, all of those things have been, if you will, bumps in the road, things that are hurdles that we have to overcome every time we have a new state join. And so, it's one of those things. The conversation I have a lot with folks is, well, it looks like the state has just enacted legislation. Can I now participate in the compact tomorrow? And unfortunately, I always have to give the news that it's going to be a good 8 to 12 months before they're probably ready, simply because of bureaucracy in many cases. That it's just difficult to move things forward quickly. And so we continue to run into those challenges. But I think the good news is, because the compact is what it is, and what we talked about, all the benefits already, that not only are the states chapters interested in the state boards interested, but largely, the state legislatures are very interested in joining the compact as well. It just takes a bit of education to move them from point A to point B, if you will.
Kelly, you hear about the compact at a different level, working with candidates or also working with clients. What are maybe some of the challenges now that you have TJ here that you hear, any kind of questions that you can ask him?
I think the common one that we get is, does the therapy compact work like the nursing? And that's obviously nursing's changed theirs a little bit over the years, but maybe you can allude a little bit to the comparison, because that's something that people in the healthcare profession, they immediately hear compact and they think it's the exact same thing as the nursing.
That's very true. So while we based a lot of what we're doing on the nursing compact, because what they do is great, but we did make some tweaks, and especially in terms of the operation of our compact. So while the nursing compact is a multi-state license that you have to go and get, and you can be able to practice in all the states. Once you have a multi-state license, you can practice in all the different states for nursing. For a compact, for the PT compact, we specifically made it so that you have to get a compact privilege in each state that you want to work in. So just like today, you have to get a license in every state you want to practice in, you're going to have to get a compact privilege in every state that you want to work in. And so there was several reasons we did that, but the main, some of the main benefits of it is essentially you can actually go and do an a la carte, if you will, to choose the states you want to actually be able to work in. It's not going to be one of those where you have to purchase a multi-state license where you may never even want to go to half of those states. In this case, you can then pick and choose which ones you want, on a yearly basis, if you will, and then you'll be able to practice in those states. And so we kind of changed that mode. It's also helpful for us to know what people are interested in, which states they're actually working in or they plan to work in. And so that, for the most part, that's really the biggest difference, is that multi-state license is not the way we operate. We operate in a state-by-state manner.
Sure. Nice. And I'd say just a couple of other things that tend to come up with therapists as they're wanting to know about, the PT compact is every state's compact requirement the same? That is not the case, although there are a lot of similarities. That is something that comes up, and we often refer to TJ's site that they have updated information and it's fast moving, and they really do a great job of keeping us informed, keeping the travelers informed, keeping patients and clients informed of, what are the processes and what are the timelines for those types of things.
You guys both mentioned timelines, and as you know, TJ and Kelly, that in the traveling world, time is sometimes of the essence, and sometimes people that didn't know they wanted to go to a compact state, there's an opportunity to do that. So what kind of timelines are we talking for that to obtain that from a novice point of view, which was where I'm coming from, and for the audience that doesn't quite know about the timelines to obtain the ability to work in those states?
So in a compact, the turnaround time is going to be very quickly, as TJ alluded to earlier. We even had, prior to some states joining the compact, we consider them quick license states. I'll let TJ allude a little bit more to that.
Process is pretty simple. In terms of length, really, it does probably more of a important point is regarding the jurisprudence requirement. So some states have the requirement to complete that jurisprudence exam before you get a compact privilege, and we allow people then to go take that through the state, which the information is available on our website of how to access that. Some states it's online and they can take it within a matter of a few minutes and an hour. Some states it's more of an in-person process, and that may take several days for registration, etc. So once they actually complete that jurisprudence, though, it really only takes about 10 minutes or less, and the reason is they can log in on our website at ptcompact.org with their FSPPT ID and password, which many have. If they don't, they can get it pretty quickly. And then they essentially go through a walkthrough process where they have their information that they can update. The system automatically verifies their eligibility. They select the states that they'd like to get a compact privilege for, a test that they've completed the jurisprudence requirements, pay like any e-commerce site, and then instantly are issued unique compact privilege numbers for each one of the states that they've selected. And so essentially they're good to go right there. The state's notified automatically that that person's gotten compact privileges and what their privilege number is. That's tied directly to our database where they can verify that information online, again, within a matter of minutes. And so they've got the ability to practice basically instantly, if you will.
You guys have really made it easy for physical therapists to have that ability to be mobile. And I think that's probably one of the more exciting things with the industry. With the way the world is going, people want that ability to make it quick and pretty painless. So it sounds like you guys have done your due diligence with trying to make that process happen. So kudos to you. I think it's exciting.
Yeah,
right,
it's
of course.
Of
course. I have a question again from a novice point of view. What are your thoughts, and this is for either of you gentlemen, of having the OT organization having a compact licensure or a portable licensure similar to the PT compact?
From my perspective, we really love the impact that the PT compact has had. It's obviously early in its I guess infancy, if you will, really, from a grand perspective, to try to get to 50 states. We're at 25 now and started with 10. But to bring OTs along with that, I think you would see a lot of great impact for therapists on that side. Again, patient care is only going to improve. And as you mentioned, that quick turnaround time, it's great to know what you're going to do in 3 or 4 months down the road to get that license. It may take that long, but that's just simply not a way of life for all people. And so, having that compact available to the therapist is just a huge advantage. We'd love to see the OT mimic or mirror something similar.
And from our perspective, we're happy to see other professions go down the road of a compact. We work closely, as I was talking about nursing before. We've talked with nursing a lot. They've given us a lot of experience and background of what they've had years of experience working with a compact, and so we learn from them. We are working with other compacts like the psychology compact right now, actually trying to help them develop their compact, and so we are always working with other groups to try to see what we can do to help not recreate the wheel, and I think any profession that can do it, I would encourage them to look into it for sure, just because I think it's a great advantage for all patients and for the industry as a whole.
Well, where do you see the future of the PT Compact heading?
Well, as I said, hopefully the future is bright and that we are going to get eventually all of the jurisdictions on board. Part of the compact, we had a few more add this year. We anticipate hopefully a couple more before the end of the year. And then, in 2020 and 2021 and beyond, I again see more and more states joining. But in terms of, the compact as a whole and the commission, I think, we're always looking to improve. We hope that we're continue to even make it easier for people to get compact privileges through our system. And I think it has a lot of impact on the future of providing the physical therapy services. I was talking the other day with somebody that said, they are looking to set up a telehealth practice, and all the things that means. And obviously, there's a lot of regulations and law that still need to be done related to telehealth. But in terms of the compact, I think what it does is it allows people to really expand that idea of what telehealth could be. And the example was given of somebody that today does not have the advantage of a compact, and so they get a call from somebody that a patient that's potentially in another state, and that patient would need assistance right now. And unfortunately, right now they usually have to tell them, well, give me 2 weeks to a month, and I'll be able to get licensed in your state and be able to talk to you and help you. In the case of a compact, if those two people were in compact member states, and that PT or PTA could be able to say, well, let me look and see where you live. You're in a compact member state, give me 10 minutes or so I can complete that jurisprudence requirement, be able to get a compact privilege to work in your state. I'll call you back, and then I can help you that same day. I think that's, a kind of quick turnaround is something that is possible, or going to be made possible by something like a PT compact. Again, that's that patient consumer access that will really be benefited by something like the PT compact. So I think that's the future. It's setting up, if you will, the foundation for the future of medicine, telemedicine, things like that. So it's pretty exciting if you look at it kind of big picture like that.
I think that's amazing. A question that just popped in my head, as we look at the compact and telehealth, do you think the healthcare community will ever streamline tests and fingerprinting, where maybe all of the states will have a hub where all of the information can be held, so that not each state will be expecting different requirements?
That's a great question. I think, that's something that the industry is probably not ready for today, but in the future, if we can get to, I guess a good example is if we can get to the fact that we have a compact, a PT compact, where years ago that was just have been an outlandish idea. The hope is out there that there are things that can be done to be able to make things more streamlined in the future as well. So it's difficult to kind of predict those things, but again, who knows, that might be possible. And obviously that would be a great thing to even streamline the process further.
So you're saying there's a chance.
That's right.
Okay.
Well, speaking of a chance, TJ, you mentioned 25 states today. You've signed some states this year, and some other states that are and potentially coming on board this year as well. Does success to you look like all 50 states? Do you think that that's a possibility? Do you think that, and from your perspective, especially with the 9 years of development, what does success look like to the compact?
Oh, that's a great question. I think, success for sure, in part, is the fact that we would have all 50 states, the other jurisdictions like the District of Columbia, Puerto Rico that are on board. That's not the only measure of success for us, though. I mean, our goal is really to make sure that this is an efficient, easy, and practical system. And so, as I said, we've automated a lot of it, but really it's in the name of be able to provide great customer service, things that makes this process, open and transparent, but also easy for people to use. And so, we want to be as efficient as possible. So I think that's one of the other things. Our goal is to make sure that the compact is not only just successful in terms of expanding, but that it truly is of benefit for people, that this is something that PTs and PTAs see as a value, and that's something they want to take advantage of and use in the future. So, it's not only about just, delivering on the basics of it, but really exceeding expectations on what we can actually provide, and working with partners out there to get that information out there, and to make sure that we're continually evolving and making sure we're delivering on what we promised.
I love your focus on customer service. It's so important these days that you will be judged by the customer service that you deliver. So kudos to you guys for focusing on not just numeric numbers and the states that you bring, but the quality of what you guys provide. And it's not just about the numbers, but it is about how you deliver that. So kudos to you. It sounds like you guys are a bright future ahead of you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, this is the point of the show where we like to ask our guests about their why. Why do you do what you do? And so, TJ, I want to ask you, what's your why?
What's my why? So I like to consider myself a builder. I have had other positions and jobs where mostly it's about building something that's going to outlast me, something that's going to make an impact on society and a positive impact on other people. And so my why, specifically for the compact, is to do just that, to create something that is going to be an effective organization that's going to outlast me, be here when years and years from now, when I'm long gone and my grandchildren are hopefully around, and be able to point to something that's still there, still functioning, and doing good things for people, and hopefully again making sure that there's even more consumer access, patient access out there, and that's my why. I want to make sure that there's really something out there that's gonna be important and valuable to society, and I think this is doing that.
That's beautiful.
That's a great why. Kelly, that's a lot of pressure.
That's a great one to follow. Holy cow. I would say in my role, my why is really about helping other people accomplish their why. I get the fortunate opportunity every day to help people get to the places they want to go, whether that be a candidate. I'm helping an account manager or a recruiter, helping with a candidate find their first job, help a client with a difficult need in one of those rural areas. That's ultimately what charges me up. That's what gets me going in the morning. That's what makes the job so enjoyable, and that's ultimately why I show up every day.
Well, thank you both for joining us today. It's been really informational. I think at least from my point of view, a novice point of view, I learned a lot. So thank you again both for joining us. We also like to hear the whys from our healthcare professionals themselves. This is Liam. He's a traveling physical therapist. Let's hear his why.
Everybody always has this great story for why they became a PT, they broke their leg or they tore the ACL or they had this great experience. Honestly, I didn't have any of this big injury or anything like that. For me, it was more I was attracted to just the human interaction part of physical therapy. I really like the fact that it challenges me to get to know people from different backgrounds on a regular basis, all the freaking time. Especially going across the country and everything. I learned what people are like in Boston, I learned what people are like in New York, and now I learn what they're like in Omaha, Nebraska, and soon to be New Mexico. So you really get a lot more of you build a social skill set way faster than you would in any other setting whatsoever. Yeah. Because you're a physical therapist first, and the second of all, travel works for me because travel second makes it so you get even more of that exposure. It just helps you become a little bit more worldly and exciting while you're young, and you can still have a lot of space to grow and do these things before you settle down.
And that's going to wrap up today's podcast. We love to hear from you, so please drop us a review and let us know what your thoughts are on today's topic. And we'll also put up a link directing you to the ptcompact.org website, so that way you can find out more about the PT Compact and also what states are currently enacting, the license or the compact privileges. And you can also give us a comment on anything you'd like to discuss. So until next time, thank you for listening.
Thanks, everybody.
You've been listening to Cardium from Aureus Medical with your hosts, Sunny and Matt. We're the podcast that gets to the heart of travel healthcare. To subscribe, access show notes, or to learn more, visit cardiumpodcast.com. CARDIUM podcast.com. Or wherever you're listening, be sure to rate us, review, and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time.